All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Was it properly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Roll call.
All
Looked like,
members are present.
motion to approve the agenda. Moved and seconded. Scott, Rocky. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion carried. Minutes of 9:18. Motion to approve by Jay, seconded by Paler. Any discussion? Seeing none, everyone in favor say aye. Motion carried. Public participation, there's none. And we are on 7A, Lions Club placing flags on the front lawn. And William, you want to talk about that?
I can, sure.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Lions Club had requested to place poles, PVC poles along the sidewalk on Main Street so that they can place flags in those poles during the parade, I believe, right, Cynthia? Or during the parade, or 2 days a year, is it, or something?
Mr. Chair, it's for the 4th of July parade and then also Veterans Day.
Okay, it's for that. So they would like to permanently put those PVC tubes in, and then they put the flags in when the parade happens, and on Veterans Day, they put the flags into, I guess. But I thought that you guys should make that decision, because I don't want to approve one club and then have another club come forward and say, hey, we want to do something now out in the front yard. And then another club comes and say, hey, but you're letting them, so no, we want to do something in the front yard. So I thought maybe I'll pass the buck on this one.
Life is complicated.
It is, sir.
Any opinions? Scott?
Are these tubes going to be flush, or are they going to be tripping hazards, or?
It's my understanding that they're flush, Scott. I haven't seen them with my own eyes. I know that he said they put them out by Mound View, I believe. If I wanted to look at them, I could drive out there, and
How many?
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Snow plowing, mowing. I guess we'd have to look into it more than just at 5 minutes at a meeting.
Mr. Chair, just give you a little history on this. So we were asked this prior and we had initially said no. So we missed the 4th of July parade. And then there were comments coming back from some board members and some citizens about, hey, why didn't the county have any flags in the front? It just looked weird that the whole street was beautifully decorated with all these flags. And then you came to the county and it was no flags. So I thought, oh, well, maybe we need to look at this again, because initially it was said no, because they wanted to put it next to the sidewalk, the permanent PVC, and we have sprinkler system that was an issue at the time. And also that this is a club doing donations, people buy the flags to have them placed. And so typically we don't do like fundraisers, but the fact that it's just a flag, it doesn't have any indication of a club on the flag, I presume. It's just the American flag.
I would think so.
So this is why we felt like we wanted to give it to the committee to make that decision, because it, could be political, and we just want, the committee to kind of weigh in on that decision.
Supervisor Paler?
First off, I don't think we should ever stand in the way of anybody posting our American flag. I do believe that I think we should pass it, but I think with conditions. I think it should be set up so that these things are flush, so you can mow over the top of them, so there's not a tripping hazard, and that they don't interfere with any of our sprinkling system or anything like that. And then I think it would be a very good idea.
I think there should be a condition on how many also.
All right. Do you know how many, or how far apart they want to put them, or anything?
I do not, sir. Would you prefer I ask the gentleman who inquired about it to come to the next meeting and perhaps give you a more detailed proposal on what he would like to do, so that he can answer any questions perhaps in person?
I don't see anything wrong with that. So
I think Bill should
we've got
give us some sort of guidance at that meeting too, on what he expects, I guess. So we know maybe not 100 flags out front, but 5, 10, I don't know. Have some sort of number idea and what you expect of if we do pass it.
Sure.
Cynthia.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I wonder if anyone here was at the parade? You were? Did you notice the spacing of the flags? I mean, were they really close or did they have adequate space? Because I think he was standard all the way down about the spacing and then 6 to 10 feet. But it didn't seem like it was too crowded. So. Yeah. So how about if the condition is that that it's standard with what's already out there? I mean, I don't think they're gonna crowd it up too much that you can't even get through I don't know.
I think Scott had a perfect idea. Let's get the guy here that wants to do it and find out what he wants to do before we make a decision.
Oh, Mr. Chair. So here's why I'm trying to get it now is because they wanted to do it for Veterans Day coming up. That's the kind of like I wasn't thinking there might be a limit on the number of flags. I just thought it would be standard across, whatever they're doing with other properties already.
Jay.
I would imagine that somewhere in flag code, there's something that delineates spacing and height and everything else. And I would say that if they just stuck with whatever's in flag code, that would be adequate for me.
I think we're making it too complicated.
Well, the other thing too is, are we just 4th of July and they remove them on the 5th or for the week? Are they gonna do it for a month? Veterans Day, I think all that's gotta be discussed too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's standards on that.
Hmm.
So I think it's a good idea. I like the part about make them flush, rather than, so it didn't interfere with the mowing and that type of thing. But other than that, I don't have a problem at all. So I think it's a good deal. Taylor.
Well, then I'll put that in the form of the motion. I think we should pass that. My motion is that we pass it with the conditions that they're made flush, so we can mow over them, plow snow, whatever we need to do, so they don't interfere with our maintenance. And 6 feet, 10 feet, what's your standard distance between them?
I'll second it and to get it on the floor. And then I got one more question.
All right, motion made and seconded that we allow that to go ahead, and there's certain conditions that will go with it. Go ahead, Scott.
I'd just like to make sure that when they're installing these tubes or whatever, that bill is out there to make sure it doesn't hit any water lines or they're where they could be placed, I guess.
I don't know, you think you can make time for that, Bill?
I'll definitely make sure that I coordinate with them, prior to them placing the tubes so that they do know where our sprinklers are and make sure that they are spacing them out like standard spacing, not one on top of another.
All right, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. All right, moving right along, project status. All right, we're on pickup now. Yep. I don't know what you're doing. All right. Project status, who's up for that? Kyle, Bill, Cynthia,
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
I believe the project status reports are up to the department heads to kind of give an update.
You got anything, Bill? I read it over.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to add to the report, actually. I'm just looking at it right now, sir. Still got a couple projects in the works here, and they're coming along.
Scott,
I guess I'd like some feedback from Bill on replacements of vehicles and Bobcats. It was an issue at the budget meeting. Do you think we're getting more bang for our buck for turning these over every year, or should we wait longer, maybe 3 to 5 years?
Well,
I haven't had time to actually look at the numbers, Scott. I mean, I don't know what we get when we sell them because I'm not involved in the sale of the vehicles. I know what we pay for them, initially when we do buy them. I guess I'd have to look at the numbers, Scott, to be able to give you a good answer on that. I'm sorry.
all right, Doug went over them when we looked out for a building project, and maybe you can review it for us, Doug?
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't get the time to update this like I should have, but there's been a fairly fluid movements here going on. It is in our report. MSA is preparing those documents for bid on the shop building. They are advertised on the county's website. Beginning next week on the 21st, they'll be accepting them, and the bid opening will be on the 18th of November. That's as far as the shop. I think the Bobcat equipment you are referring to is part of the parks program. We do have two skid steers and a tool cat, and we're currently reviewing those. We just got them in the last couple of days. And I do believe we are going to probably stop that exchange program because, you know, when we originally started that program, we were exchanging them for $3,000 plus the old equipment. They've almost doubled that now. So I think we're gonna exchange one skid steer for a tool cat, and then we're probably gonna sit on the equipment for an extended time going forward. If that would answer your question, Scott.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thanks for looking out for the county.
Mr. Paler,
Did you say that those bids are available on the county website now? Cause nobody called me to tell me that or.
Yeah, So, yeah, they just came in within the last week or so. If you were to, I don't know, Leanne, I want to go on there, it is on our report, linked on our report. But if you went to the county website, it is under the tab for bids for the county.
Okay. I was looking through those plans briefly yesterday afternoon. I would love to sit down with the engineer from MSA and find out where he got his crazy ideas. I mean, 7 inches of concrete for a floor. A state highway is only 6 inches. The interstate is 9. Studded out with 2x8 walls. Why are we building a pole building if we're going to stud it out with 2x8s interior, you know, walls all on the inside, and a 3,000 gallon concrete holding tank for a building that don't even have water in it? I mean, I would really like to figure out where he gets these plans because he's way up and above what codes are.
Scott, did you have something?
I agree. Is it costing people money to get these plans?
I do believe that it costs them $20 or $25 to download the plans. Yes.
Okay, somebody had asked me that, and I know it's minimal if you're a contractor, but I just think they should be open with no fee.
Anything else? You got anything to add, Doug?
Not really. That's the way MSA set things up. I think that's typical. It's probably the same thing that's going on as far as the courthouse project, but they are going to provide a set of copies. It does say in that advertisement. It's not the full large scale drawing, but it'll be a small scale copy of the plans that will be available at the park office for anybody to glance through.
Taylor?
That was one of the reasons why I wanted to pull that away from MSA. I had talked to an architect that would have drawn up commercial plans for about 1/10 or less of what MSA would have. And there's so many things in there that are just wasteful. For example, that retaining wall on the back, if you move the building 30 feet further south, you wouldn't have to have a retaining wall. it's just so much wasteful spending in there that it's just. We could have had plans drawn up for $2,000 to $3,000 that would meet commercial codes and put it out to the local bidders, and you could have had it built yet this fall.
Go ahead, Scott.
Saying that, we can reject all the bids and do that, can't we?
Doug,
Yes, it's under my understanding that bid opening will be on the 18th. The project will not be awarded on that day. At the next scheduled committee meeting, it would be up to the committee members to review, and they can accept the lowest, highest, or they can deny all bids.
go ahead, Scott.
But it's my understanding, Cynthia has the final word. Correct?
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I'm leaving it to the committee. So we're getting the direction from committees. We're not gonna be doing this in silos. So the committee
Okay.
definitely has some involvement. Okay.
All right.
Well, I don't know what to say as far as usually to overbuild, it's better than to underbuild, which that's fine, except what you just mentioned about concrete and some of the other things. I don't know. I mean, we paid them to engineer this thing. I don't know. And it's out there for bids. So I don't know how you go about changing it now unless you rebid the whole thing. So, and I don't think that's probably not the wisest thing either. So I had a question on the where the building is going and so forth. Are you figure on clearing that stuff this fall yet? So I don't know if they were gonna build during the winter or not. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, that was, in the design process, he offered us several options to reduce the cost. And one of them, yes, is that we would clear that lot in-house. We'll cut down the trees and do all the grinding. We do plan on doing that late fall or early winter. So I don't have that date. Some of the other things, we talked about in-floor heat, and that was originally in the plan, and we pulled out a lot of things to try to make the project as cheap as we could. I mean, I don't like the idea of having a holding tank, but if you have a floor drain in a shop, that's the current code.
So really, there's no action to take during this meeting. It's all information, correct? Yep. So. All right, we're gonna move on. Maintenance.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reynolds.
Any questions on the report? Be happy to answer them.
What's the roof repair? How's that going? On practical sense.
Not sure. I'm not handling that. Remember? I don't do maintenance of that building. Sorry. But I know that Kelly did talk to me about it and they were having somebody to come out and take care of
Okay.
it. So
All right. Anything else? All right, thanks, Bill.
you're welcome, sir.
Parks.
Well, there is, our reports here, we had a warm early fall and it's kind of turned into normal temperatures now, but reports show some of our activities. I know we've touched on the building shop project. And as we move forward, we're getting ready, some of our summer, a lot of our remaining staff will be departing or has departed soon as we get ready for the fall season. Darren, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, the only other thing that I have other than what potentially on our report here, I don't know how I misplaced it in my memory to add to the report. I was given the opportunity to participate in the FFA agricultural field day at the middle school 3-4 weeks ago. Seen about 85, 90 kids in 4, 5, 6 different groups, and was able to talk about how not just agricultural jobs are farming with the park and stuff like that. It was It's very interesting to try to hold the attention of sixth and seventh graders for more than 18 minutes, but it was it was very fulfilling. Some kids are very active in their questions, and other kids just were staring off into. It was way too nice of a day to be all sitting outside. I was the coolest guy there because I brought a easy up, so I had some shade. Everybody else got to stand in the hot sun, so they thought I was pretty neat that way. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that. It was very rewarding.
Good, thanks. Scott?
I had a complaint from another board member on a camper out at Castle Rock that what they do on the weekends is they take their camper off the site and put it over in storage so they don't have to haul it back to Illinois with his boat. And then when they want to camp the next weekend, they just come up, so they're saving the money on leaving the camper on the site. So I went out and I inspected the areas that they were talking about. I went to Petenwell and I went to Castle Rock. And out at Petenwell, they got an area behind the shop there. I'll just read the list of the amount of stuff that is in that lot. There's 4 jet skis, 15 ATVs, 17 campers, 14 trailers, 2 cars, abandoned cars, 5 pontoons, 7 boats, 1 truck that had a valid car pass, 1 shed and 1 ice shack. I don't think we should be boat storage, especially camper storage. You know, why are we storing other people's campers when we have a campground? They should be using them. So before the meeting, I'll give you Castle Rock's rundown. Castle Rock had 11 boats or pontoons on it, 5 boats, 7 campers, 5 trailers, and 1 ice shack. So before the meeting, I talked with the sheriff on the abandoned vehicles and trailer. That what the trailer was not only the trailer, it had a shed with it, and then the 2 abandoned cars. These guys, I went through the park. The park looks wonderful. It's nice. It's manicured, but I think both those areas need improvement. One looks like a junkyard. It really does. And I know if they're having trouble, that he's the 2 abandoned vehicles, he said they've been there for 2 years. You know, are they getting charged $2 a day for 2 years? Probably not. You know, we're not seeing no money off of none of those. So I talked to the sheriff, and the sheriff, I think he told me he would sit in a meeting if you got any questions for him. But in the past, they've had to get rid of them somehow. So he thinks there's an ordinance and he's going to look for it. If Brett wants to speak to it, he can. Brent, you want to speak?
Sheriff York?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So yeah, I worked with Darren. It was back in 2019 with something similar, some abandoned property at I guess Petenwell or maybe both parks. I don't quite remember for sure, but there's a ordinance, a county ordinance for abandoned property. I guess we'd have to know if it is abandoned property or not, and I don't know that Darren would probably know the best of that, or the park managers anyways. But there's an ordinance, county ordinance that we'd have to follow to do that, to get rid of it. But the one part of the ordinance is that it can't be there without the consent of the property owner. Well, if the county gave permission to leave it there, then I don't know that it would technically be or fall under this ordinance. Darren might remember what we did in 2019 with some of that abandoned property, but without a violation of law or county ordinance, we are not able to just simply give the name of the ownership from DOT records. We're not able to share that. So I would assume that the parks have contact information for the owners, though.
Call Nakusa. Mr. Paler?
Well, I would think that Darren and Doug could, if they're not paying $2 a day rent for this stuff, then it's abandoned property. I mean, it's the way I see it.
Darren, Doug, either one?
Exactly like Sheriff York stated back 1819, we had multiple abandoned campers or abandoned property, however you call it. And it was quite a process to finally basically through Corp Council registered letters to last known owners. If it's still your property, if it's not your property, most of the campers are a titled vehicle, so you can't just sell that stuff, or you can't just get rid of it, whatnot. It was a process, but we went through and we sold this stuff on Wisconsin Surplus. It was at least, I think there's 3 attempts you have to make with the same property owner. And I don't know if that's the ordinance that we used, what the county ordinance is, or just basically, a roundabout, it's abandoned, but you gotta either claim it or it's going away. If you make them attempts, I believe it can be then just, done with what we need to. There's, I guess for discussion wise, because it's been brought up, it's all we can do. There's multiple reasons that things are in our parking lot at Petenwell. We have a large parking lot that's separate from say the boat trailer parking where the campers are. We have room for 89 boat trailers in the parking lot. And then the overflow parking, just what it's called for, is what we do charge multiple people for storage. And because of the, like Scott mentioned about the ATVs in the parking lot and vehicles, there's the ATVs and some of the extra watercrafts are a second potential recreational toy from a camper. The ATVs cannot be at the campsites in the main part of the park, but we do through a exemption through the DNR to not have the ATVs in the park, allow them to and from that parking lot so campers can drive from their campsites. They can drive from the parking lot in the main portion of the park, not where they're not in the ATV park. That's why those are there. And it does, it creates less clutter and does make the campground look less full to have that stuff in our parking lot. That's separate from the boat parking lot area. Just to kind of more of a little bit of a background. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, it is one of the hardest things to try to regulate that we have to do. Campsites are super easy to regulate because the people are in them, the people move out. You have someone come with a rental for the summertime. They bring their trailer, and next thing you know, there's another trailer in the parking lot. You're pretty sure which boat it belongs to, but it's a work in progress, and we have been working on it for multiple years to try to get a better handle on what things are and where they're at in there.
Well, is there anything like regarding this committee that would recommend, if we would recommend a ordinance, bring it before the board that makes it tougher for them to misuse some of the park access? I don't know if that's the right word, but Scott.
I guess if I was a business owner that had storage units that encircle Petenwell and Castle Rock, I'd be pretty upset that we're charging $2 a day and sometimes we're not charging them absolutely nothing to store stuff on our property. What is the liability? What if somebody gets hurt walking through there, or kids, they'll play on anything. What's our liability?
Well, I think you mentioned like 15 ATVs or something like that. Is this a fenced area or anything? So they're just sitting there? Huh. Go ahead, Thule.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it's just a parking lot. Yeah. A paved parking lot with multiple parking spots on it.
Well, I don't know. Sounds like something needs to be addressed there. I don't know what it is, but you guys are at the park. I mean, you know what you can handle and what you can't. But I don't know where these problems come from. They just kind of jump out, I guess.
Mr.
Cynthia.
Chair, well, you can go first.
Go ahead, Scott.
The aesthetics of it is, you know, it's one of the first things you see in the park besides the park office. You take a left and you see a bunch of, and then, I'm not saying them are new ATVs or new campers that are sitting there. It's junk. It pretty, I mean, the people might get mad at me for calling it what it is, but it is. And some of them look like they've been sitting there for a long time. What I'd like to see is and Doug showed me some of his records, but there was some months that didn't have nobody, because some people will pay at the beginning of the year to have that $2 for the whole year in that lot. So, I'd like to see I mean, they gotta go through, check campsites and make sure they're paid up daily, I guess, make sure that that area is, if we're not gonna do nothing, is make sure that all those people, maybe that'll make a move. If, I'm sure not all of them are being charged. Cause we would be making a lot more money in our parks if every one of those vehicles in that parking lot were being charged.
Well, like the ATVs, I would assume they have a license number on them that should be able to be traced. No? Darren's shaking his head. Go ahead.
What,
He's thinking. Doug,
If I could jump in there. I mean, I think Darren covered it well. It's a difficult area to police. And I know I have some of my campsites are big enough. If you put a camper in there, you're done. So, you know, they come and then the lakes are the big attraction. They want to use the lakes. So if they have a boat, they can't even put it on their campsite. So, I mean, typically we allow one unit down there that's unpaid for, you know, per paid campsite.
Explain the 17 campers in a parking lot though. I don't, that just.
Yeah, that would not include campers. You know,
No,
they do have
Cap
to
Rock
pay.
didn't have, they just had 7 campers, but I still think that if you're not camping there, take your camper home. I mean, in the summertime, especially at Cass Rock, that parking area is so small that they gotta line up, and tell me if I'm wrong, up and down the roads and by the beach there because there's nowhere to park. Well, we got all these other people that are paying their $2 that are taking up all them spaces.
well, I guess I have to make more rules. Taylor,
Wouldn't it be maybe simple if when somebody wanted to rent that spot, or for example, a guy with the boat that's got a camper and stuff, to give them a sticker to put on that unit so that they know that they've paid for their spot or that they're supposed to be there. And if there's no sticker on the unit, then maybe we have to get rid of them.
Doug,
I mean, I do use a system like that. I got some red, little tag that you put on there and they're numbered. So we track them as best as we can. But like the short terms, if someone comes up for a week and they have an extra boat there, those people aren't always checking in the office. And we get down there as often as we can, but it is difficult to track it sometimes. You know, if we had the ability to check on ownership of something, that would make things much easier. And as far as us competing with local, I mean, just running a park essentially does that. I mean, there's private campgrounds out there too. So, we're just trying to encourage the best as we can without, we're still increasing, I believe, business at the county level, people who are shopping and everything else.
well, yeah, go ahead, Jay.
I'm just curious what the process looks like if somebody rents a lot, puts a camper there, stops paying their rent on that lot. How long does it take, and they just leave the camper there? How long does it take for the county to remove that and put it somewhere? I'm just trying to think of how it would go with the parking issue also with people, these abandoned vehicles. If somebody abandons their camper on a lot, how long does it take for you to remove that? Or has that ever happened?
Doug,
I mean, I would agree. When I first started here 5 years ago, that we did go through a series. both parks had a number of abandoned vehicles and we went through the search and all the certified letters. And there was some time involved there, but I think tracking it now, and it's not perfect, but we are tracking. Once we get a red tag and know who it is, then we know who they are forever. You know what I mean? So we've had less problems with stuff being left for an extended time. Sometimes things do show up that we don't identify and they do sit there for a long time. So, you know, being able to coordinate with the sheriff's department and our corp counsel will be an added benefit to us.
So if, again, and what Jay brought up, if there's something that's not being used and not being paid for the lot, how long would it take to say, Sheriff York, get this thing out of here? Derek,
Mr. Chair, when that issue arises on a campsite, it can take several weeks, potentially months, if it's a long-term situation. That's where it is with some of the long-term things. That's where they're not there. It's not this is not happening every day, all the time, but there are campers and there are people that life happens and situations happen, and we try to do the best public relations we can and give people every single extra opportunity to make sure they're taken care of. And then it's the ones that just fall off the face of the earth. So then we remove the stuff, pack it up, move it to the storage lot. And quite honestly, sometimes let's see what they're going to do. Let's wait for a bit to see what they're going to do. And that's where we come with the, 5 years ago there, when we got rid of them 6 or 7 that we had, basically acquired at that time. And right now there's 3 completely abandoned trailers right now. The 4th one, the woman had made contact and is trying to sell it and settle up her bill. There is an abandoned car there, 1, not 2. My truck was one of the other vehicles in the parking lot the day that Scott thought it was abandoned. So I probably maybe need to update my vehicle, but this is not something we don't know that is occurring. Why it's came to a head, I believe, because it has, and it's not like we're not doing anything. We are actively trying to come up with better plans, to try to manage the things that are being stored and being used. And I'm speaking for my lot, the bigger lot that we're allowing them people to, freely move things in and out of that parking lot, because it's, I don't want extra pontoon trailers for the people that rent a boat slip on the weekend. I'd rather have that over in that parking lot for the 10 days that they're in the boat than by the camper where the kids are playing more, and or in the extra parking lot where boat trailers can't park. So that's why they're over in that parking lot. It's not that we can't always find that owner or know that owner. I think it's being thought of as we're not doing anything, and I believe we are. It's an ongoing situation that we're trying to resolve. I mean,
it seems to me that, board members aren't there. And you guys are the ones that are running those parks. If there's issues, it would seem to me like you guys put your heads together, and if you need something from the committee, an ordinance or whatever, we'd address it. But I don't want to tell you guys how to run your parks, even though the county owns them. I don't think that that's a board member's position. I don't want to be there, me personally. So I don't know if you guys want to put your heads together and address the issues. If you consider them, have at it. And Cynthia.
So I just want to offer this. I feel like I'm being left out. I mean, I'm here for a reason, and it's to do, if there are concerns from the board, if, it should be communicated to me. And for me to hear about stuff at a meeting, I feel like I'm kind of blindsided. And I could have already looked into an ordinance and see, and put the pieces of the puzzle together or take care of the problem immediately by doing an internal audit. So somehow I'm being left out of the process and I'm here to help you. You know, if you have concerns, you know, and I work directly with the department heads. You know, we have a relationship. But to bring it up on the floor, I just feel a little blindsided. I just want to speak my mind there.
She's from the government and she's here to help us. All right, well, it's been brought up and we'll leave it up to the manager and department heads and work it through. All right, anything else? If not, agenda. Yeah. Talk to us.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
So for the next agenda, I just have I'm getting some requests from board members to put the Health and Human Services project on, like, get it rolling, I guess. That would be the Phase 4 project, the one that was next to the community center. We shared if y'all remember that presentation. So so a couple board members and some citizens and department heads and such are wanting this kind of to move forward. I feel like we would have 3/4 of the board to approve debt because that would be the hiccup on this one. This project would require the county going out for debt. And at this point, it looks like we might have, that's just a feeling. It's not like I went out and did a head count. But it seems there's some interest now to move forward with this project. Any thoughts on this being on the next agenda is my question.
Well, I don't want to get too many things on the plate before we get some of them off the plate. So, thoughts? Want to get it rolling or try and finish up some of this stuff that we got? Mr. Paler.
I'm gonna agree with you, Bob. Maybe we should get this remodeling project either passed or failed or something before we move forward with building admin and fi, or the Health and Human Services building.
And I guess the other thing is if we went ahead and got this on the platter and board elections and things maybe swayed, a new board they can make a decision and say, nope, we're not doing that. And I'm in no hurry, but go ahead, Cynthia.
Mr. Chair, I guess the thought is that with the current board, we would have enough. The thought is we would have 3/4 of the board in favor of acquiring debt. So for the project and what happened, I'm going to remind everyone about what happened with solid waste. That situation, we went and we asked for a intent to go out for debt, right? We had an intent. We had the votes, 3/4 of the board intent. And then when it came time to actually refund the county now, because we've already spent the money, then it was, no, it was like, it seemed like it went to the politics somehow instead of what was probably right for the county. So we had to get into our coffers to pay off $4 million instead of getting debt. So to avoid that situation happening again, there will be no intent this time. It'll be the absolute debt that will be approved. So there will be no, risk of that not happening. But again, I'm just being asked and I wanted to present to the committee about this being on the agenda next time. So whatever the wish of the committee is.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten that about the landfill. Mr. Paler.
Well, I can't disagree with Cynthia, but unfortunately, when you start talking about acquiring debt, you're asking people to vote for a project they have no idea what it's going to cost or anything. And we've seen over the years that when we rush things, that addition down here was kind of rushed and it turned into a mess. So I think if we're going to build that building, we need to look at it, build it right, and know what it's going to cost us.
Well, all it was asked for right now is, should it be on the agenda for next property and rec committee? Is that accurate?
Mr. Chair, it'll be a discussion. I just want it on the agenda so that we're talking about it and it's in our sights. That's all. You know, what that looks like is determined by this committee.
Go ahead, Jay.
Mr. Chair, I don't disagree with Cynthia. It's just to have a discussion and see, just
Yeah.
start the process, not in earnest, but at least have the discussion about it.
Okay. Yep. Scott?
I take exception to that. This turned out as a mess. I think it turned out just the way we wanted it to. You weren't probably on the building committee at the time, but this was a phase project, and I'm sorry, but at the time the manager got involved and it turned into not what we actually set out. And Bob, you know this. This is supposed to be the judicial center. This is gonna be all the police force and everything else, and it would have worked out perfect. But they decided midstream to cut off this part and move all the offices and all this other stuff. And that is not what we agreed on when we sat down. There were stages, Bob. You got to admit that this is exactly what we did. And then our next step was to build the Health and Human Services. And that was just all thrown out the window.
But there was reasons for it. And to convert this was after the fact that things didn't go as the 4-phase plan. And so this was a stopgap to make use of this side and not have to build another building. So it's not that I disagree with you, Scott. That's not it. But I know there were steps involved and this is a way to address it. It wasn't the original plan. Cynthia.
Mr. Chair, since it's being brought up, I'm just going to go what I know about the history. So originally the plan was that this was going to be a judicial center, correct? But the other plan is that the administrative building was going to be built on a 34-acre lot. And we didn't even own the land before the plans were all made for that. Okay. All that predates me. So when I came on board, that the 34 acres is out of the question now because we didn't even own it and it was going to require a lot of debt. So why not utilize space that we already have to the best benefit of the county at the lowest dollars? $2 million versus $20 million. That's how much of a savings that was. So that was my motivation, to utilize space that was going to be underutilized. So that became, and all this went through the committee, everyone approved it. So yeah, it's my idea,
Not
Right.
everyone,
but I'm sorry.
not everyone.
Okay. Okay, it takes a majority. Okay. But yeah, not everyone's going to be happy with it. No, because some people wanted this to remain a judicial center. Okay. But again, that space would have been underutilized. It wouldn't have been best use of that space. So to save the taxpayers money, to me, it was a clear picture, and the committee, the majority approved it. That's what brought us here today. And we also still have one more phase. So it's still 4 phases. We still have one phase that's still the sheriff's area. Okay. So perhaps that's an agenda item too. Again, just so that we're continuing to talk about these things and it not just be put on a back burner all the time. So that would be, we probably need to talk about phase 3 and phase 4 on the agenda, just to put it on our sites. That's all.
All right. I'll look forward to the next meeting. All right.
Next meeting date,
Yes. Next meeting date.
6th or the 13th.
Next meeting date, November 6th or November 13. Is that what you said?
Yep.
I gotta look. All right. What works for everyone? Gentlemen, Doug and Derek.
Sorry, I was just gonna add that, remember, we have that bid opening on the 18th. So I don't know if you want to do it, there shortly thereafter, so you can, discuss those bids. Whereas if you did it before, it's gonna sit there for another month.
20.
I'm okay with it. Jeez.
20th?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We do have another public bid opening on October 23rd, so next week, I believe that is, for the administrative project here. So I didn't know if you want to have two meetings or something, because otherwise we're gonna push that out by way more than a month. After that public bid opening on October 23rd at 2 PM.
We should have saved this meeting then.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm not going there. That's the 23rd, Bill? Is that what you said?
Special meeting? No, or no special meeting. Corp council.
Ah. All right, let's pick a day. Twenty-fourth. We'll do, wait, that's only 2 weeks away, a week away.
You probably have to do the 30th, right? Or do you want it the day after? What are you looking for, Bill?
No, not at all. I just was putting it out there too for thought. I mean, they were discussing that they had a bid opening, if you want to after that point, but otherwise they're gonna have a public bid opening on the 23rd, and then we're putting that out there then for all these contractors that are gonna bid.
So do you want the 30th then, or what do you,
Would be advantageous,
30th?
and then have another one right after the other bid opening or whatever, you have in November.
Tu-
It's up to you.
Thule,
Mr. Chair, I just believe that Doug was mentioning that the park one, I don't think we realized as our department that the admin building thing was. So I think your first suggestion of that first or second week of November probably would be okay with them, and ours would then just move to December. I don't think you want to push off your admin building bid opening. I don't think you need to have an extra early meeting, but if that'd be, just to put that out there.
all right. Either one work for you, Cynthia?